Now, a couple of weeks ago, I was at a networking event in London. Now, I love networking events because you always bump into really, really interesting people. And I particularly love the London Lunch because this is a networking event for internet marketers. And I always learn something when I go to this event or bump into someone very, very interesting. Anyway, it was at this event that I bumped into somebody who told me that they'd made over $3 million from their last information product, which they'd released. Instantly, I was interested, and I sat down and had a long, long chat with him and convinced him to take part in an interview. So today, I'm very, very lucky to have Christopher John Payne sitting next to me today, and I'm going to pull some information out of him today, get some of those kind of gems and golden nuggets, and you know, we're kind of going into depth of exactly how you can create products, because I know a lot of people struggle with product creation.
Yes. And
I know that a lot of people think that I can't create a product. I don't know enough about anything to create a product. And I think it's very, very interesting because a friend of mine told me years and years ago when I first started marketing, you're not a proper marketer until you have your own product.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people think, I don't need my own products. I just want to sell affiliate marketing products, as an example. I just want to be an affiliate marketer. So why would someone need their own product even if they're just an affiliate marketer?
Well, a great example is this. If you're promoting like an affiliate product on the internet, there is always something that's missing. There's always something that can be improved. Nothing is ever perfect. So if you go through a product, you'll say that actually that it's great, but there's a few bits that could be improved. Now, if you're promoting an affiliate product and you say this is the best thing since sliced bread, your conversion rate is going to be lower, not the most like as high as you'd think, because the way that you will sell more is by building a level of trust. And if you say, actually, this is a really great product, but it has one little mistake, there's one thing that could make it a lot better, and what I've done is I've created an extra report to go with it, which fills in the gap and suddenly will make it a really turbocharged. People go, wow, the person who's promoting this is actually basically saying, being really honest, so it's very believable. And they may have seen the product being promoted by somebody else, and here is, say it is me, saying that actually there's one thing that's really missing that's actually fundamental. It could be something as simple as good examples. It could be that the creator of the product has assumed a level of knowledge that's higher than some people, use some technology or terminology that people don't necessarily understand. So I, as the affiliate marketer, can actually create a short report, which might be as little as a page of information, so then people can buy from me rather than from somebody else. And then they're really excited, it really bonds them with me.
Sure, I know what you mean. I mean, it's like, a lot of people will create affiliate review websites, for instance, and it's just a standard, bog standard review. Yeah, this product is fantastic, it's great, it's brilliant, best thing since sliced bread, go and buy the product. And you see 100 reviews like it.
Yes.
As soon as you see somebody saying, yeah, this is a good product, but it's missing that one element, and if you buy it through my link, you're going to get a bonus.
That's it.
I've done this a lot in lots of different niches, and what I've actually done is I've created quick start guides, particularly for high-end products.
Yeah.
So what I've done in the past is I've created, I've been promoting like a high-end product that might cost $400 or $500, and it's it's got like 100 videos, or it's like 10 hours or 20 hours of footage, and you get into the product, and the product is really good quality, but it's like, oh my gosh, where do I start?
Exactly.
So what I've done quite often is I've created like a quick start guide, which is really just a couple of sheets, just saying, what you need to do is this, this, and this. Go and watch these videos. Use the course in this way, and that's been a fantastic bonus. And that is a product, isn't it?
It's a product in its own right, and I mean, there are some people. Let's say it's a DVD set or a set of MP3s of like a one-day seminar that somebody else has run. So you can promote that product and sell your quick start, but equally, it's almost like if they didn't have an affiliate, you could almost create a product which is just a summary of that event and sell that on its own right. So we've seen on various websites where people have gone to a 3-day conference in America, come back with their notes, maybe a few pages, and actually sold that for $7, $17, $27.
There was a WSO recently. There was a seminar in the States. I forget whose seminar it was, but it was like about $2,000 a seminar to go to. And somebody wrote up some notes whilst they were at the seminar, got home, put them into a Word file, saved it as a PDF document, and then sold that as a WSO on the Warrior Forum and did really well. It was a really high selling product.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, with product creation, I mean, like I said, a lot of people are scared of product creation, and a lot of people are worried about, creating products. Can they do it? What would you say to those people who just think that, it's sort of a bit beyond them?
Well, I think it's to listen to what you and I are talking about and saying, okay, take something you have recently bought that's good and just write some notes about it as though you're explaining to one friend. So you might think of a mate of yours who'd really benefit from this product, who might not understand one little element or just need, like you say, a quick start guide, and actually put that together. So you start somewhere and actually make some notes. Then, if you can do that, I think the next thing is you incorporate yourself into the notes.
Yeah.
And what I mean by yourself, it's like if you imagine we pick John Smith has created this product, and I'm going to be the one who's creating the products about it, then I incorporate my stories into it. So instead of just the notes, I start by saying, my name is Christopher John Payne, I'm 52 years old, here's me with my 2 children, my 2 boys, I live here near London, and I got into internet marketing at this particular time, and I'm very excited about this particular product by John Smith. And then when I do the notes, I'll say that reminds me of a story from when I was 6, where I learned this particular lesson. So I start to incorporate my stories into the notes to give a richness to the actual quick start guide. And that way, not only do anybody who buys that quick start guide get to see my quick start, but they actually get to know me as an individual, and they realize that I'm just a human being like them with my strengths and weaknesses, that I have a family, that I have interests, and so that creates a bond so that they get to know me more. And when they know me, they tend to get to like me and then trust me, and then so when I have another product, they're more likely to buy that from me. So it's about creating these touch points, ways of connection when people go, wow, this is the kind of person I want to stay in touch with.
It's very interesting you say that, because a lot of people, when they kind of get into their head that they want to do affiliate marketing, a lot of people go down completely the wrong route, and I see this a lot. And a lot of people will just write or have written very, very generic reviews.
That's it.
Really impersonal stuff. They don't add anything to the product, and they don't stand out from the crowd. Now, if you want to be, I've always felt that if you want to be very, very successful with affiliate marketing, you need to do what you're talking about, which is, put something yourself into the sales copy. So in a way, what you're talking about doing is writing almost like a mini sales letter as an affiliate marketer, convincing people to buy the product. Now, the interesting thing what we're talking about here with creating products as a bonus is you can actually do this for physical products. So let's say you're promoting some high-end, I don't know, let's just say it was some very high-end piece of gym equipment from Amazon.
Yeah.
Let's say it was a $2,000 treadmill or something, good commission.
Yeah.
You could do a review site, fine. But what if you had a review site which said, okay, if you buy through my link, you're going to get the video which shows you exactly how to use it, how to take it out of the box, set it up, and everything. Yes. Okay, you could do that. Or you could have a quick start guide again of exactly, the best exercise, routine, or the best workout to, for the treadmill.
Yes.
And I think if you can do this and have a lot of added, added value into the product offering, that's when you can make a huge amount of money as an affiliate marketer. And it really drives me nuts when I go around and I see people promoting products and they're saying, oh, my site's not working. And I look at their site and you see, and yes, they're offering a bonus, but it's just like some crappy PLR stuff, which they bought from a PLR website, which everyone else is offering, and it's of no added value. And I think particularly what can work is when you offer a bonus where people kind of go, wow, at the bonus, and they almost want the bonus more than the product.
Exactly. That is the absolute key, that they see something in the bonus, the bonus, which really go, wow, I really need that. I mean, I recently bought a stand-up desk.
Yeah.
So, and the stand-up desk means that instead of being sitting down at my desk and typing on the computer, I can actually be standing up. Well, there's all kinds. If I wanted to promote that, and through, you know, let's say it was, I found a supplier in the UK or through Amazon, then I could do all kinds of things like I have a little stepper device, which is only like $30 that I bought. So I can go on this simple stepper as I'm surfing the internet, standing up with my laptop in front of me. I can also be lifting some little weights, or I can actually lift a kettlebell, which is one of these, like a cannonball with that. So there's lots of different things. And then I can say, there's 4 exercises that I can do in front of my stand-up desk. And people go, 4 exercises in front of a stand-up desk while you're surfing the internet? Wow, I want to know what those are. And I can say, and this is how many calories I burn each day with it. And it's so simple to create a video on it, you know. And a video is the easiest thing, because some people are very afraid of writing. But with something like an iPhone or an Android phone, or even a BlackBerry, you know, they do have simple video facilities. And you can create a video and just put that on a hidden page on YouTube and link people to it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, product creation obviously is, I would say, is an incredible skill to have as a marketer. And if you know how to create products, you know, you can make a lot of money. Now, one of the interesting things, you know, I was driving over here this morning. It took me about an hour and a half to drive here, by the way. And whilst I was in the car, I was having a think about this interview, and I was thinking, well, actually, when you think about it, what do all the successful marketers online, you know, have in common? What is the one thing that all the successful kind of big name internet marketers have? And that is they all have their own products.
Yes.
I would say all of them have their own products. Maybe a few of them don't openly promote them, but they'll certainly have their own products to offer as bonuses. And when you start talking about people who are making 6 figures plus, they definitely have their own products. They're either physical products like DVDs or books, they're information products like, you know, PDF documents or videos you can watch online, which is similar to what I do. There might even be seminars, workshops, these sort of products. But they all create products, and this is one of the big secrets to really kind of, I would say, you know, making a huge amount of money online. Now, the interesting thing is, you know, when we first met at the London lunch, you touted this thing that you'd made $3 million, and I was just like, excuse me, what did you say? And that's a fascinating story. So tell me, how did you come to, you know, create a product which made that much money? Was it, I mean, what kind of product was it? What was the story behind that $3 million product?
Well, it is an interesting story, because I was running a mail order business selling personal growth products here in the UK. And I was buying in like speed reading courses from America. So I ran a business called Life Tools, which I set up in 1993. So I was importing like a CD set on how to read faster and then selling it into the UK. But what I found was that it would include some English, some inconsistencies, or there weren't the examples that I wanted. So I did what we were talking here, which is that I did in my own personalized little quick start guides and so on, which encouraged people to buy from me rather than import from America. But equally, it bonded me with my audience, because they got to know who I was and my interests. And I, you know, said I'd speed read a particular book, and people go, oh, I'd like to read that book as well really fast. So whenever I brought something in from America, I always added a little something to it. But there came a point and I thought, do you know what? I should really create my own thing. So, and I'm really interested in personal development. So all the personal development books I would buy, like behind us, there's a whole set of books. I had a library of 1,300 books at one point, which is a significant quantity. So I'm a big reader. And I thought I'd like to create my own product. Well, what am I going to create? I had no real thought, and I thought, do you know what? Where's the gap in the market? What are people buying now? And what results they're getting and what results aren't they getting? And I'd learned something called the Sedona method, which was a method of letting go of anger and sadness.
Yes, I know it,
You've heard of it? Well, I was the promoter in the UK for the Sedona method.
Really? I don't...
So if you ever saw a letter in the post saying, get the Sedona method, that was me, and I thought it was great. So I learnt how to teach the Sedona method, and I ran a few seminars, and people thought it was absolutely great. They said, Chris, you're brilliant, you know, this is a brilliant seminar. But then I'd speak to them 2 weeks later, and they'd be back stuck again. And I thought, there's something missing here. So they're coming on the weekend, saying it's changing their lives, and 2 weeks later, they're back in the soup again. I thought, right, I need something that's going to have some more consistency. And I thought, what's happening is people are learning a method, but each day they're forgetting to use it. So I thought, well, what if I teach people a method so that they do 3 minutes of something in the morning and 3 minutes in the evening, and they do it every day, and it really changes their lives. So that'd be something, wouldn't it? So imagine, you know, somebody who's stuck, let's say you were stuck in life, and I'm telling something which is like an exercise you can do in 3 minutes in the morning, and then in the evening you do another 3 minutes and everything changes. So that was my hook. Well, that seems like, because you can spare 3 minutes, sure, 3 to 4 minutes. Yeah. But if it was that, what would it be? What could be in that 3 minutes? I don't know. Right. I mean, what are we going to put in it? I mean, I don't know. So I had to then think. So you can see I didn't know what was going to be in the 3 minutes. I then said, right, that would be, because if people only have that short amount of time, what would be the most amazing thing you could do in that time? Well, I spent weeks trying to think, what would it be? And I read a lot of books and thought it through and thought what worked for me. And I came down to 7 things that people could do in those 3 minutes. So it's like you close your eyes, you wake up in the morning, you have your breakfast, and right, I'm going to do my 3 minutes. You close your eyes and you run through 7 questions and you answer them. Then when you open your eyes, you're ready for the day. Yeah? I thought, right. So I worked out these 7 things, the most important 7 things to contemplate. And then I said, okay, these are the questions. So I wrote them out in English and looked to create like an acronym. I wanted a 7-letter word, where I picked a letter out of each of the lines of the questions that would made a word that people could remember. And so I juggled them around and came up with Roberta. So the first step is R, the second step is O, the third step has a B in it somewhere, the fourth step has an R and E in it, and so on. So what I was teaching was the Roberta method. Now what made that really good was that then people, if they know that it's called Roberta and they think, right, I need to do my 3-minute process, say, right, start with R. So what does R stand for? Oh yes, it stands for such and such.
Yeah,
right, let's do the R step, then I do the O step, then the B step, and the E step. And also it made it what's called proprietary. It made it for me. So this is Chris Payne's creation, the Roberta method. Nobody else had invented the Roberta method. I had, and it's a set of 7 questions. So, like for example, let's say you were creating a product, Sarah, which was STAR. So it's 5 steps to affiliate marketing success. We could call it the STAR method. So there's the S, the T, the A, and the R. So S is sign up on the such and such, and T is take action here, and A is da. So you could force your 5-step process into STAAR in such a way, because that's your very unique name, unusual surname. And people will say, yes, I use the STAR method. And then, so I created this Roberta model. So then it was, right, so now I need to explain that. So
you created the framework of it. You had the questions, you had the framework, and you knew what you wanted to do.
Yes.
So then how did you actually take that idea and think, okay, so is it going to be a DVD? Is it going to be a CD? Is it going to be some sort of book? Is it going to be a download? How did you then translate that to that kind of format, and how did you go through that process?
Well, you see, the key then is what's in front of me. So we work with what we've got. So my partners in America, there are people who have the speed reading course called photo reading, which is how to read a book at 25,000 words a minute. Their system is on an 8 CD set. So they sell things in a package with 8 CDs in it, and they are studio recorded. So it made sense that I provided them in the format that they wanted. So I knew that they would promote my product if it was in a particular format. So therefore I had to do 8 CDs. And so it was like, okay, Roberta is ROBERTA. So that's 7 letters. Well, an hour on each. That's 45 minutes on each. And the final 8th CD is like me going through, like Sarah, I'd demonstrate it to the process to you on the last CD and ask you the questions, the 7 questions. You would answer them, and then whoever's listening understands, that's how Sarah answers the questions. I see now how to use this, and that's the 8th CD.
So it's really just audio recording. So you just took some notes down, and then you knew what you were going to talk about for 45 minutes, obviously.
Yeah. Then it's a case of, well, how do you fill an hour on one thing? So, like, I'll give you a clue. There's the R and the O. The O is for outcome. Like, what is one outcome for today that if you achieve that would make a big impact on the day? So O is for outcome. So that's really about, well, we can talk about like well-formed goals, well-formed outcomes. So you need to be specific, measurable, achievable, those kind of things. You can talk about that. I can talk about in the past my stories, like the way I met my wife, and how I had an outcome to do that, and how I created this relationship which ended in marriage, and how also I told the story how I started with the idea of Life Tools, my mail order business, and how I created that and turned it into a successful business, all by writing down or getting clear in my mind what the outcome was. So I had my own stories, I had like an explanation of what outcomes are, what goals are, the O's part of the step, I said, and parables, so like the old fairy tale type stories, or the wise man who went down the street and he did this and he did this, and there's a moral of the story, like an Aesop's fable. So I had those. There are quotations, famous quotations from people like Goethe and Albert Einstein and people like that. And then there are stories where I would have done the process with a client, like a friend or a distant friend, where they did the exercise with me, and then their day became more productive. So I would tell their story. And before you know it, you've got 45 minutes on O for outcomes.
It's amazing, isn't it? So you created these 8 CDs. Was there any books or anything to go with it, or was it just the CDs?
With the CDs was a set of sheets. So for example,
like worksheets.
Worksheets.
Yeah.
So the first sheet is, hi, my name's Chris Payne. I'd like to welcome you to this course. There's a picture of me, version 1.0. I'm here to support you. Then there's another page which is my commitments. I agree that I'm going to work through this course and stick it through to the end and throw aside all my assumptions and sign it, which gets commitment. The next page is, what do you want to get from the course? Like, what do you want to get? So you write down what you want to get. And then I show the steps to create outcomes and how to create a measurable outcome. Like, for example, people say, you know, what, Sarah, I want to make more money. Well, of course, the joke is I can give you a penny, and of course now you've got more money, but that's not really what you want, is it?
No.
What you want is £100 a day earning from the internet, or £1,000 a month, or £3,000 a month, or $5,000 a month. So when you talk about, like, that's a little jokes, that's another thing I forgot to mention, which is there's little jokes like that they're around that people go, oh, that's a funny little story. So the workbook is full of sheets like that, and then some photographs of me in my life and where I've set goals in the past. So you soon end up with a series of sheets, and I end up with, actually it was 69 sheets in the end, but each was step by step. So what I want to show...
But this was quite an expensive product though. This wasn't like a $47 product, was it? No.
No. And so
how much were you selling that for?
Well, what I sold it for was £199 was the standard price, which was for 8 CDs.
About $350-ish.
Yeah, exactly, that kind of price. Now that was the price which Learning Strategies, my partners in America, also sold their products for. And so it was to be respectful to them, and that's run by a guy called Pete Bissonette, who's the most extraordinary guy. I mean, I feel very moved just thinking about it because he's a delightful guy. And then Paul Sheely is the creator of photo reading. So I had to make sure that I was respectful to them as individuals and provide them a product that was an easy sell. And that's what matters. So for example, let's say I came to you and thought, well, I would love to do a product with Sarah. Then I wouldn't do an 8D DVD set with a 69-page workbook. It would be it would need to be an ebook based, probably a and a particular price that suits you. You probably say general wants them between $47 and $97, and say ebook, oh, it's great if it's a live recording of Chris, you standing on stage and presenting, because people like that, but it also needs a PDF with a quick start. So I would work with you to work out what would work for you, and of course that just makes your job easier to sell it. So we have a win-win situation. So equally with America, that's what they wanted. Now, because it was CD, it took more work, but people might think, well, that's a lot of work. Yeah, but the thing was, I'm just this ordinary guy who had never created anything before, and I managed to do this, which meant that I had to create scripts, I had to go into a recording studio to do it, which I'd never done before, and I just did it, and it worked. And when I did the first rough recording, it was so awful, I cringe, because I really had never expressed myself. I mean, now it's very easy for me to express because I'm practiced at it. But people think, well, I could never do that. Well, you have to start somewhere. I've got an example of skill. I got to know Andrew Reynolds. You know Andrew Reynolds. Yeah. Andrew Reynolds is a big promoter of information products in the UK. And I got to spend a bit of time with him, and he knew I was a personal growth guy. And he said, Chris, come and talk to me, come and talk in front of my audience at my next Wembley event. And
how many people was that?
There were 2,200, and I'd never done that. And I'm thinking, oh yeah. So I said yes to that. And actually I turned up at the event, and actually the day before, one of my people who works with me, Marion, said you were green. She said you were so scared. Your face was actually green the day before this event. But I did the event, I did this talk anyway, and it worked fine. So Andrew was very pleased with that, and mine was the first talk. So Andrew, after that, he had a birthday party, and he invited Elton John to play at his birthday. And he invited me along with a whole there was about 150 of us, and I was very honoured to be there at this party, and there was Elton John on a piano. Yeah. And it was very moving because he played absolutely stunningly. It was just to die for. He deserves every bit of success that he's got Elton with because he was so entertaining. And then I thought, do you know what? At one time he was rubbish. He had never, there was a time when he started to play the piano and he couldn't play at all. But he just kept at it and got better. And the thing is that people forget is you've got to start somewhere. And with product creation, it's very easy to say, well, I can put it off. I'm not a good writer. I'm not good in front of video. Well, you've got to start somewhere. Everybody started somewhere. Every famous singer. I mean, a great one was, I remember you were saying that when you were doing the first videos, I mean, you've done like 400 or 500 now, you said. And you said you were rubbish when you first did the first ones.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, absolutely. Of course, but then you improve on it.
You just get better.
You get better and better and better.
It's having the gumption, the balls to do it. And what people don't realise is like people can go online to my website and see various videos of me. And it looks slick, you know, there's me talking for 3 minutes and it seems very polished and it seems, wow.
But if they looked at your first videos...
well, not only that, but equally just before, like the throwaways, because when I recorded it, and then I recorded it again and again and again, and I could have recorded 7 different versions of a video that were really totally hopeless.
Well, it's like when I look at my first videos, I cringe, and some of them are still online, and I think, oh my gosh, that's still online, that's awful, you know.
But we do that, and so people see these slick videos and think, wow, but what they don't see is the outtakes. I mean, occasionally you'll see an outtake of somebody. So what I put on my website is not a first take already handled. It's the 7th take, and it's really just good enough for me. And what they might look at my video and say, wow, Chris, that is an amazing video. How can you speak so well? But when I look at that, I think, God, that's so rubbish.
Well, it's like the interview here we were doing now. How many times did it take me to get the introduction right?
Yeah.
How many times did we do it?
We did it like 3 or 4 times.
4 or 5 times, I think it was. Yeah.
And so when people...
I kept making mistakes on the introduction to this video. But when people see it, they think, oh, I just did it flawlessly. No.
And what you said was, you said it's always the same when you start doing the videos.
Yeah.
The first few minutes is like, well, how am I going to introduce this? But we get into the flow.
That's right.
And it's, are we prepared to do that? Now, in the privacy of our own home, we can set up an iPhone on a tripod and just talk. And what the thing is, you will be surprised at what comes out of your mouth that actually is good stuff.
Yeah.
Now, what happens when you start to talk in front of a camera is, like you're saying, well, what do I know about, let's say it's somebody watching and they'd like to do something about, say, affiliate marketing. And they say, I know a bit about affiliate marketing. Well, what if I record a video to camera about affiliate marketing? So they start to talk and it's all, you know, they start to stumble over the words and they can think, gosh, nobody's seeing this. But as they carry on speaking, out of the blah, 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 blah rubbish that comes out, there's an element, there's some gold, some amazing stuff comes out. And they'll say affiliate marketing is just like, you know, that first time you dive into a pool and they come up with an analogy or a metaphor or a way of explaining or a story or link it into a movie they've just watched. And they surprise themselves, well, where did that come? Where did those words come out of myself? And it's only by constant talking that the good stuff comes out. And it's whether you're prepared to go through the gobbledygook that comes out and the slurring and the stumbling over words to actually get to the gold. And this is what the best writers do. People sit down and say, right, I don't know what to write. Well, but that's not the thing. When you sit down to write, you just write. You sit down and say, I have no idea what I'm going to say, and that is so frustrating, and it's the most frustrating thing. And I know that if I don't start writing something, I'm not going to be able to feed the children, my wife and my children. And that reminds me of my parents, because my parents, they valued education more than anything. So I'm making this up at the moment, but it's actually true. My parents valued education more than anything, and they realized that me, Chris, wasn't doing very well at school, looking out the window, and my teacher said that you will never amount to anything, that Chris will never amount to anything because he's just a daydreamer. And my parents said, no, we think he deserves better. So they put me into a fee-paying school. And there were times when they really had it hard to make ends meet. And I thank gosh every day that my parents put that energy in. So you can see how I had no idea when I was making that I was going to come up with that. But we write those stories, and everybody has stories like those.
Oh, yes.
And when you write them, you surprise what you come up with. Just as I had no idea that I was going to tell that story, I just followed the process of writing.
But I think it's interesting, you know, creating products. A lot of people think, you know, what could I create a product on? What niche could it be? And I think products really can come into two different categories. Obviously, we've got like the bonus. So if you're an affiliate marketer struggling to promote a product, come up with a bonus.
Exactly.
Okay, maybe you're promoting a product about gardening, and you may think, well, I don't know. I mean, if I was promoting something on gardening, I know nothing about gardening. Okay, but let's say there was some expensive product that was promoting on gardening, something that was going to get paid a decent commission. Because obviously, I don't want to promote gardening products unless I'm going to make some decent commissions. How can I improve the product? Okay, so we're going to create a bonus. Don't know anything about gardening, so what can I do? Okay, well, what I would do is I would go out there and find some expert gardeners. This wouldn't be hard. I could go down to my local garden centre, I could look online, and then I would interview them.
Exactly.
I could use my iPhone, my Android phone or whatever, just to record the audio. And we've got an interview series with 3 gardeners, let's say, and that could be a fantastic bonus for anyone interested in the gardening course. So right there, you see, I know nothing about gardening. I've just used my telephone to record an interview with, say, 3 people, and I've created a bonus that's incredibly relevant to what the original offer was. So we've got products like that. But then, if people are interested in actually creating a standalone product, now people get scared by this and think, oh, it has to be so perfect. It has to be amazing quality. And I see people getting stuck with products. And I every now and again I'll talk to somebody and they'll say, yeah, I'm middle of creating my product, and I think, oh, that's great. And so how long have you been doing that for? I've been working on it for 2 years.
Yeah.
You've probably heard the same thing.
Yes.
Yeah. and then you bump into them a year later and they say, you know, I'm still working on the product. And you know, you can't have that kind of mindset, can you? You've just got to, you know, get it down, give yourself a deadline, and even if you make mistakes, you just got to get it out there.
You've got to get, and you need to have it. Like, I mean, that reminds me of the story of your last event.
Right.
The you gave me a call and said, Chris, would you speak at my next event, which was the panel discussion. You said, you know, how to get traffic to the site.
Yeah.
So would you come along? And I said, oh, I was very honoured. I thought it'd be lovely. Yeah. So you invited me, Rob Cornish, the delightful Rob Cornish, amazing. And then Jeff Alexander, amazing knowledge about Google. And so there was the 4 of us. So I thought it'd be great. As I then got the train in, because I live in Woking, which is 28 minutes outside London. And it's a short walk to the hotel. And on the train, I thought, well, what could I do to show people how easy it is to get traffic and how to get people onto a list? I thought, I know what I'll do. Is I'm going to get people to sign up to my list at that night to show them how easy it is. And I thought, I know what I'll do. Is I'll write a list of 7 things that I've learned from Sarah Staar. So I thought, this will get them going. So I sat with my iPhone, which is here. So I have my iPhone and I have a little note stamp. So I tapped in 7 things. And I thought, there's another thing. So I kept on typing and I came up with 21 things that I'd learned from you, which was like, wow. So I was surprised myself. And really, even though I wrote 21, I knew that really if I'd carried on, I probably would have written more. If
it'd been an hour journey, you might have come up with 50.
I would have, exactly, I would, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. That's confidence for you. You know that I'd get 50. So I turned up on the night and it was a full house, wasn't it? It was cram-packed. And you were giving your great stuff, and then I said my stuff, and I said, is anybody here? I've created this list of 21 things I've learned from Sarah. Who would like a copy of my list? And all these hands went up.
They wanted it.
And there was an energy, and it was like, you know, handing the card to Sarah, and you were saying, yeah, you know, give me your name and email address, and I'll get it out. And it proved the point that when you have an audience that's interested,
and
they want something. It's relevant. It's relevant. And it's like, ooh, and they're the kind of things they could, because really.
But the thing is, you did more than that though. You said, who wants it? Everyone put their hand up. And then Chris said, well, okay, well, it'll be ready by next Monday or Friday or whatever it was. So you gave yourself like this deadline to create a product then.
Yes, I did. And
so you're going to create a product out of just that list.
And the other thing was,
which was interesting,
one guy, which was Clifford Weatherall, this very nice guy, contacted me that night and said, can I have the list? Well, of course it was a finished product. So I sent him the list there and then. So that was the product was done. You know, so the 21 names was there. I could have put it into I actually just sent it in an email, but I could just as easily have sent it as a Word file, as a PDF, and just put my name at the top. I could have put a pretty cover, learn from Sarah Staar, introduction from me. And
because what Chris did was he actually created a video, a very long video all about this. But what you could have done is you could have just done it as a PDF. You just had like, you know, had a list of the thing, then maybe a little paragraph underneath each one, and that was it, or 2 lines underneath each one. And then, I mean, okay, that was a product, which is great, but you could even use that as a bonus for, if you were promoting one of my products as an affiliate, you could give that as a bonus, and all those people would be like, yeah, I definitely want that.
Yes, and I agree. And for me, it was like, do I want to sit and type it up? And the problem with typing for me is I try to get things right. I like to be precise. And I thought, well, if I can put together some slides very quickly, which I could, and also I have a plasma TV, so I stood next to my TV and presented with the slides next to the screen. I knew that I'd have it finished in 45 minutes.
Exactly.
Although I didn't know how, I didn't know how, I thought it was like 20 minutes. But of course, by the time I actually showed all the slides and then elaborating and so on, and then that reminds me of this, and when I stopped the video, which I recorded on my iPhone, on a tripod, so it's just standard equipment, and it's like, oh wow, that's 44 minutes. And then I came up with the product name. I thought, what should I call it? I'll call it Fast Product Staar, because it was like, it's a way to fast products. And I have a guy in India who built the membership site for me, and he sent me an email about it, because I can build a site myself, but it's easier if he just sets it up for me. And his email went in my spam box. I thought, and even though I've had so many emails from the guy, I'm on an Apple Mac, and the mail app had shoved it in spam. So I thought, can't call it Fast Profit Staar. And I thought, Staar. I thought it must be some kind of a pun on Staar. So I called it Staar Gazer, S-T-A-A-R, Gazer, which was gazing on this star of an individual and marveling at what you had achieved and what I could learn from that. And so we created this site called Staar Gazer.
But it's very, very interesting, isn't it? So, you know, you created a product that was a 29-minute or 28-minute journey on a train.
That's it.
Taking some notes, like in a notepad or a phone. And then, you know, you got confirmation from people at the event that they're interested in it. You've gone home, set your iPhone up, spent an hour or so in front of the iPhone just recording it. I mean, it's interesting because some people are, you know, video people, some people prefer writing. Personally, I'm dyslexic, so I would do it with a video just because I find it much easier. If I wrote the thing, I'd probably be there all day doing it. But with the video, you know, you can just bang it out in an hour.
That's it.
Some people can just, you know, if they're really good at writing, could just write it up in Word, save it as a PDF document. You've got a product.
That's it.
And you've created that product very, very quickly. Which is the key to product creation. It's getting the idea down, the framework, isn't it?
Yeah.
Working out what you're going to do, and then setting yourself that deadline and just getting it out, isn't it?
Yeah, and
I mean,
it is, and it's like I said, it's like people say, well, you know, if I said to people watching, I said, what have you learned from Sarah's style? They'll say, well, maybe 2 or 3 things. Well, if you actually sit down, you'll suddenly start to list out, just as I did, lots more. So the mind is a tricky beast. It seems to think we don't know very much, but actually, we know far more than we think. And going back to the thing is, then when I created this, there were the people, the London lunch so they could actually find out about this in the London lunch website. I think sorry, not the London lunch website. It was your Sarah Staar internet, your internet forum area. But then you sent an email out to your audience saying, Chris has created, there's this guy I met called Christopher John Payne, he's created this video called Staar Gazer, go along to have a look. And you'd written, the newsletter had 3 things in it, and the 3rd thing was go and see Chris's website. And hundreds of people came to my site, they've downloaded, they've watched the videos, I've had some great feedback, I've had some jokes, they've Facebook liked me, and they've contacted me with a few questions, and it's great. And then some people came to you individually and said, it's a really great video, it's fascinating. So I get this feedback, and then that spurs on a whole new area. As you say, with those 200, now I can, if you launch a new product, yes, I can actually say, I've got Sarah's new product and it's actually really good, but she actually jumps over one point at one point where she thinks she's explained something, but actually she didn't explain it brilliantly, and I think I can explain that better. And people go, wow, Chris is really adding value. Now, whether they buy that through my link, it's because only a small percentage will, but the others go, wow, Chris is really diligent, he really cares about me, he's sending me regular emails. So that is a business. So if I was starting from scratch, then that is the beginnings of a business, and that is the beginnings of earning hundreds of pounds a week. Because if I was to promote some of your stuff once a week and just go through your catalogue and just promote your stuff, I would bring in an income. And so that's what anybody can do. So it really is that simple.
It makes you stand out massively from the competition. Yeah. People always say, you know, how can you promote things in the internet marketing niche? How can you promote things in personal development? How can you promote things in weight loss? These people always say to me, you're crazy because these niches it's just too competitive. You can't, it's too much white noise. How can you stand out? You know, and really the way you stand out is by just doing it better than everyone else. 99% of the people in these markets, 99% of the affiliates in these markets are not promoting these products properly. Then they're not doing what you're talking about, creating bonus products, creating relevant content that makes people want to buy it through your link.
And and the other thing is, people seem to they compare other people and say, well, yes, Chris has done that, and they can say, well, Chris has got this knowledge and he already knew Sarah. Yeah, but I mean, I didn't know you from Adam.
No, we'd met once before.
That's it.
Before that lunch.
I just went to a meetup.com. It said there's an. I just thought, well, I must go to an internet marketing event. I turned up. I didn't know anybody, and I hardly spoke to anybody that night, and I was shy. And I went up to you and said hi, and asked you a quick question, and you had all the other people asking you questions. And I went up to Rob Coulson and asked him a question because I had an issue with GoToWebinar. But it took, you know, the second or third time we met that we actually started to talk properly. Yeah. And so I had to go through my discomfort because I'm just like everybody else. But the other thing is, I've been living in Abu Dhabi, which is near Dubai, if people don't know, for the last 3 years. So I'm new to the London scene. And I used to live up north in Cheshire. And as I'm single and I don't know anybody in the area, it was a case of, right, how do I make some new friends and do something interesting? So I got told to do why don't you do some improv comedy? Improv. So that means stand in front of a group of people and make something up. Well, I don't think I'm funny, you know, it's like, and I've never done any acting before. So I went and did these improv workshop, and I thought it would be really useful because if I'm doing another workshop, like on product creation or something, then I need to be able to be spontaneous in the moment. And occasionally somebody will ask a very difficult question, and I need to be able to respond in the moment. Or if the equipment's not working, can I laugh about it and spontaneously come up with a different way of presenting? So I thought I'll go and do improv. And the thing about improv is they stand you in front of 25 people and say, right, you're in a war and you've got to play 2 characters. Go. What do you do with that? Well, there is no way out. There's no preparation. You just have to come up with something there and then. So I have to work with what I've got. What do I have within me? What memories do I have about war or about comedy characters, war characters, to come up with something? And it's all about each individual person watching here has a body of knowledge. They have a history, they have successes, they have failures. Well, I would start by saying, if you want to really, because there's just this enormous, it's like trying to make money on the internet. It's like looking at Yellow Pages, and you're saying, I want to start a business, and you have no idea. You look at, you know, kitchen fitting and book binding and book printing and gardening, and it's like, it's bewildering. But that's crazy. You start with what you have right now. So what problem have you had in your life, and what have you solved? Well, God, my children were very, very badly behaved, and I didn't know what to do, and I found a way to instill some discipline, so actually there was some loud, and actually so they would actually do what I asked them to do. Well, that is a problem. So write that up. So you start there and write like 5 tips about how to be a better parent, or how to get your child to go to bed and stay in bed, or what you would do if a child has been extremely naughty, or if you had just recently got married, what was your dating process? Or if you split up and now what was your process to go through a divorce? Or, you know, if you've been gardening and, you know, you keep buying plants and they've all been dying, what was your process to actually suddenly become a better gardener? Now you can write that up as 4 or 5 steps. And now I'm not saying you go and sell it. I think you create something, and you actually introduce it and say, gardening tips by Christopher John Payne, and you put like 5 tips, and then you actually then start to add to it. So then you come and say, gardening tips, Christopher Payne, 5 tips, the end. You know, if you want to buy any of my other products, give me a ring on this number. Save that, and that is a finished product, which is not very good finished product because it's 5 steps, but then I call that finished. Then the next day you can say, can I improve this?
Can I add to it?
Can I add to it?
Yeah.
And then you start to add an introduction, like, my name is Christopher John Payne, you know, and I used to be a rubbish gardener, and now I'm far better. And here's a picture of my garden when it was really rubbish, and all the flowers are dead, or my indoor plants dead, and here's what it looks like now. Follow my 5 tips.
Quite interesting you say that, because that's quite similar to a process that I use when I'm creating quite big courses.
Really?
So, like when I created the YouTube Hijack, when I created Inside AdSense, these were 2 courses which I used a similar process. And I thought, okay, so let's just take the Inside AdSense course as an example. I thought, okay, so to build AdSense sites, what do you need to do? And it's like, okay, well, you need to do research, you need to actually build the sites, and then you need to do traffic. So I just wrote those 3 things down, and I thought, okay, I've got the 3 main subjects now, and I knew what the course was going to be called, and I already had the graphics. So I created the graphics because I think if you have a picture of the product and you have like a header done, it's kind of like in your head you've done it already, or it's there.
Yeah.
I actually put the membership site up, and I created module 1, module 2, module 3. And module 1 was the research, module 2. So I'd actually created the framework, and I put a headline at the top of each of these pages, you know, traffic, research, building the sites, and that was it. And I thought, right, okay, so for me, before I'd even recorded any videos, done anything, I was like almost 90% there. I thought, oh, okay, yeah, I've got the whole site, the membership site's done, the graphics are done, I've got the 3 modules there, the headings are done. And then from then onwards, it was quite easy for me to think, okay, so the research, okay, yeah, so I just bullet pointed like 3 or 4 things to do with research. I thought, oh, okay, that's all right. And then by doing it that way, it wasn't so daunting, and it was actually quite easy to create those products when I used that kind of process.
Yes.
And it's interesting because that's a very, very similar process to what you were talking about right there.
Yes.
Now, Chris, just to finish off, people who are watching today,
yes,
if you could give them like 3 or 4 tips really to creating products and becoming successful with product creation, what would those tips be?
Right. Firstly, I would say write down some challenges that you have had in life.
Okay.
I would break them down into areas. I have a process called the life grid. If anyone wants to get hold of it, they can contact me through a link. You'll probably put a link below, where I break down life into 8 areas. So, like for example, relationships. What have you been challenging in your relationship with your partner? If you had any issues with children, you know, like what are challenges with them. Also, like in health issues, have you had any challenges there that you've overcome? Like you might have broken your leg or something. You had a recovery process. Equally, it might be something in the area of fun where you created a social life. Maybe you had a boring social life and you managed to create a really nice set of friends, or you found a way to get on with people, and so you've learned how to stop arguing with people and actually get on with people, like they're dealing with difficult people. And there's a whole set, or like how to find a job, or how to start a business, or how to close down a business. And so people have already got some challenges. So like, what are the bad things that happen to you?
How to find the best bargains, maybe, or something.
There you go.
That's not a challenge, right? But there's all sorts of things like that.
Then out of that, then you might say yes, like your best successes in life.
Yeah, yeah.
And then what are the lessons you learn from that? And you say, well, I might have learned 3 lessons. Well, then write those up as a story. So start to compile some stories where either you write them out roughly. I wouldn't do it into great detail like a page, but do it very, very briefly. And so you've actually got a story. So if I said to people now, how many stories have you got of challenges? Make a number now, right? So it might be 4. Great. Well, this is the interesting thing. You go and write your problems down, the challenge you've been through, and I guarantee you'll come up with more than 4. You'll be more like 8 or 10 or 12. Now that needs to show you something, which is your first guess is completely wrong. Just as when I thought, you know, I'd done like maybe approaching $1 million in sales revenue from my CD set called the Effort-Free Life System. That's what I'd done, but actually when I sat down and actually wrote down, I realized I'd done 3 minutes, like wow, and 7 figures was profit. Equally, I thought I'd only created like 10 or 15 products over the years, until I actually sat down and listed every single product. And it took me a few days to think, oh yeah, I created that one and that one, and there's this record, and I call that a product really. And I realized I'd done 90. It's like, how come my mind only says I've done 15 when actually when I write it, I'd come up with 90? And so when you do that, so that's one thing, which is you list your challenges, you then list your successes. You then, a good thing is like the worst advice you've been given. I mean, I've been given some rubbish advice.
Me too, yeah.
Like a simple one in relationships. You know, I'd gone through some problems with my marriage. And I shared with some friends, and I said, you know, this is a challenge. He said, you know what it is? Your expectations are too high. If you reduce your expectations, you're going to be more satisfied.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, that seems a good idea. The only thing is, it's not right, because all the marriage research I read since then is no, the people with the highest expectations of marriage, that really expect an awful lot from their marriage, actually have the most successful. But I had advice that was the other way around, so I reduced my expectations at the time, which didn't help the challenge we were going through. Yeah. So there's one piece, and people think, wow, that's probably, people might think that's a really good piece of advice, you know, have high expectations. Well, there's other people have their own sense of bad advice. So write that down, and then write what's the best advice you've ever given. Like, who were your mentors? What was some really great things that you learned in your career about health, about personal growth? Like, what do you learn from Tony Robbins, or what do you learn from a book like Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway? And when you do that and you actually say, and this is what I did as an example of that, you suddenly realize you have a richness of content which you can put onto blogs as articles that you can use to lead into selling an affiliate product, or to actually put into a product of your own that you can give away or sell.
Right. So those are your main tips, are they? Yeah?
That'll get them going.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being interviewed today.
It's my pleasure, Sarah. Now, can we tell people where to get the products?
And absolutely. So if you'd like to have a look at the product which Chris created, remember we were talking about the London meetup, and he was actually there, and you actually created this product on the fly, which I was really impressed with. And you know, well, you called it what, the Staar Gazer or something? Staar Gazer. You can actually get a hold of that below the video. There's a link to that. So click on the link below this video, and that will take you through to your site where you can get a free copy of that. Yeah,
and we'll give them another one as well, which I have another product I've just created called the Inner Genius Skeleton Key. And it's a skeleton key which you plug into your head, and it unlocks all this knowledge. So if you're interested in finding that knowledge and skill within yourself that you didn't know was there, then at the moment I'm going to give that away for free. So that's a couple of videos which show you how to find this knowledge to start creating your own products. So you're welcome to have that as well.
2 products you're going to get for free. Thank you very much, Chris. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's an honour to know you, Sarah. It's a delight. Thank you very much for being part of my life.